So my name is Josh Woznica. This is my Ieor 190G blog. This is a video of my second post where I'm going to talk about the top 10 inventions that have changed the world. I just wanted to give a quick caveat before I got into it, and that is that when we think about the inventions that have changed the world, it's really important to think about them within sort of the whole history of time, not just in the past few decades, because I know it's really easy to just sort of think of the ones that are on our mind and the ones that sort of influence us the most. With that, the first one is the internet. The internet, World Wide Web, pretty recent invention, as you know. There have been many sort of sub-inventions that have come from this invention, and it's really provided many things to society, namely the ability for us to connect with one another very easily and access knowledge and information. The second one is the wheel. This is probably one of the oldest, most important inventions. It's extremely old, and it's allowed us to transport goods and people in an exceptional form at a very unprecedented rate. And it's amazing how many of our modern technologies depend on the wheel. You think about the airplane, cars, many others. Third one is the light bulb. It's very hard to think, 150 years ago we didn't have the light bulb. And the light bulb has really sort of provided the platform for us to develop modern power, which is amazing because, now everything relies on power. Then the fourth one, number 4, is the mobile phone. And I'll sort of add the telephone because that obviously came before. This sort of takes many different forms depending on where in the world you're in. But you all know what the mobile phone can do for you. The fifth one is the printing press, which is very easy to ignore today because many of us don't print anything and printing's sort of dying out, a lot of people say. But when it was developed, it provided a way for us to sort of rapidly disseminate knowledge at an unprecedented rate also. Number 6 is certain medical drugs. Usually we think of just penicillin, which shouldn't in any way be discredited, but we need to remember that there are many other medical drugs which have allowed for us to sort of treat viruses, infection, diseases, cure them, help people live longer. Number 7 is the compass, and I'll say sort of modern navigation systems is coupled with that. Today when you want to go somewhere you haven't been before, you just go on your phone, you type something in, and you get there with the GPS pinpoint. Before we had to use a compass, we didn't know how to get around. People would try to rely on the stars, the sun, but when the weather was bad, we couldn't. So the compass really helps with that. Number 8 is refrigerators and freezers. I know these both have very different histories, but it's important to think about how they've allowed us to sort of keep food healthier and safer and get it to access people who couldn't access it before. It's a much more advanced version of the icebox, as you will. Number 9 is the computer. This is obviously very different from the internet. I know it's easy to confuse them, but you think about sort of the Turing machine and how this seems sort of so ancient today. But back then, the idea of putting some set of information into a system and then having that system sort of export another set of information was a whole, brand new idea. The last thing, number 10, is nothing like any of the recent ones I've just discussed, but it's sort of the democracy, as you will. It doesn't really fall under the category of an invention, maybe a discovery, but this idea of giving everyone the right to vote has become so fundamental in our democracy, and it really dates back to the 6th century BCE in Athens, actually. So it's important to remember that this is technically, I guess, an invention. With that, I hope you enjoyed this list. Sorry I was speaking really fast, trying to get